morning, folks. I'm Brenda Siler. I am a lifestyle writer for the Washington Informer, and we are about to have a wonderful conversation about the musical, Six the Musical. It is in town at the National Theater, and if you don't know about what it is, it's about the six marriages, the six wives of Henry VIII. And let's take a look at this video right now.
Get your hands up, let's go! Six is the winner of 23 awards and the most royal party on Broadway. It's an exhilarating pop rock avalanche and a total blast. A high-energy history remix 500 years in the making that speaks vibrantly to today. Six the Musical is Broadway's euphoric celebration. Now playing at the National Theater for 3 weeks only.
We're Six.
Get tickets at BroadwayAtTheNational.com.
And we have one of the actresses from the production. We're going to be talking to Alizé Cruz. She plays ex-wife number 6, Catherine Howard. And welcome to Informer Live. We are so happy to have you here with us today. We had a little bit of technical difficulties in the beginning, but it's all good now.
So sorry.
So no problem. So welcome to our program here in production with the Washington Informer newspaper here in town. And let's talk about the musical. It's a wonderful, visually spectacular production, and you play the sixth wife. And for those who are not familiar with Henry VIII, give us that scenario about him and why does he have 6 wives?
Okay, well, King Henry VIII is known in history for having 6 wives, and the stories of each of his wives were quite insane. So there were some that he divorced, there were some that passed away, and there were some that he decapitated. So that's kind of what sticks in history as how kind of awful he was maybe to his wives. And this show is actually our way of speaking from the Queen's perspectives for the first time, because we always hear about, King Henry and what he did, but we never hear the other side of it. So it's really a cool show to tell history, but the side of it that we never really learned.
Well, even though this musical has been around for a long time, it's been on Broadway and it's still on Broadway, and it's won more than 23 awards, I believe, in different categories. So it's very popular. And when I was waiting outside to get in, I said, okay, people are dressed in a certain way. There's a following. There is a following, and people are dressed in a certain way. Some had on crowns.
Oh, yeah.
And some were sparkly in terms of their dress. And I said, okay, let me see what this is about, because I really was not I'm familiar with the story of Henry VIII and his 6 wives, but in this musical format, I was not. And I love the fact that it's an all-female cast.
Yeah, and band.
Yes. And awesome. Where's the king? I say, where's the king? So it's the 6 wives.
Yeah.
You've got a band on stage, a 4-piece band, female band, and then there's not a lot of dialogue. You all are singing your individual stories.
Yeah.
That whole concept, talk about that in the rehearsal and pulling it all together, and what is obviously a sisterhood.
Yes.
On stage. Talk about that.
That's exactly what I was going to get into. The word sisterhood is perfect to explain it, because, when we are doing our rehearsals and each queen is doing their own song, us who aren't the head of that song are there to support and to enhance the story of the queen that is telling. And it's really cool, because before every show we look at each other in the eyes, band as well, and we all say, we got your back, we got your back, we got your back, we got your back. And that's really what this show is about, is we are here to help you tell the story that you never got to tell. And sisterhood is the perfect way to explain our relationship off stage as well as on. And it's so cool. It's so different than anything we've ever, I've ever been in, for sure.
And for plays or musicals that have had a long run, I've noticed that there are some nuances where they try to allude to maybe current events
Uh-huh.
that are
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
And it was quite clear. And just to be clear, the the musical started after a recent big news issue related to the elections, and it felt
Mm,
like a woman's empowerment,
yeah.
a,
Yeah.
a woman's empowerment movement at the
Yeah.
National Theater,
Yeah.
and people were so uplifted not only because of the women claiming and using their voices, but the music. There were times there when I thought I was in the club. You know, the music is so fantastic, and everybody was just nodding their heads
Yes.
and really getting into the rhythm,
Yeah.
excuse the pun, of the songs, the lights, the bright, all
It's
kinds of light,
crazy, isn't it? Oh,
and your
it's
and the costumes that you wear are like beautiful and sparkly. So uh,
yeah.
that environment, are you able to feel from the audience what you're putting out there?
Absolutely. And to touch on what you're saying of the current events happening right now, how special is it that we get to tell this story and do this show in Washington D.C.? We all of us are so grateful for this opportunity, and we think it's really important to be here right now. And yeah, I think it's so special. And you're talking about the audience. You're asking me about the audience. Absolutely. If the audience, for me especially, as you've seen the show, my song is quite hard to sing. It touches on a very deep topic, and just knowing that I have the audience's support, as much as they need me for support, I need them for support, and that goes along with all of us. Not only are we here to tell the story, but you are there to listen. So
Right.
the more energy you give to us, the more we're like, yes, we are in this together, and we are going through the journey together. And you've seen the show. We break the fourth wall the whole time. It's
Yes.
never we're telling the story on the stage and you're just watching. We are interacting with you. We're talking to you. You're talking back to us. It's the most fun. It's so different than any musical. It's
Yes.
it's really a journey that we all go on together.
And it's enjoyable as well for those that are just tuning in. We are talking to Catherine. Oh, you play Catherine Howard. This is Alizé Cruz, the actress who plays Catherine Howard, the sixth wife of Henry VIII, a part of the group of queens. I call them sister queens
Oh, they are,
because
girl. Mm-hmm.
because sister queens. The group as a whole are called also ex-wives because they are all ex-wives. I'm not going to give away too much for those who don't know um, the story, which is, I will tell you that I remember seeing this way back in the day on PBS and Masterpiece Theater. That's how far back this I go in terms of my knowledge of the six wives of Henry VIII. But also, the singing is wonderful. There's some songs that are robust and upbeat, and then there's songs that have a bit of melancholy to it because there's a sadness, a little bit of a sadness about it. But then I feel that in your character as the sixth wife, you're the one that kind of grounds everybody and grounds the other wives and basically bring them to a point of a reality check.
Mm-hmm.
And so I found that your character at the end there kind of glued together all the pieces and the stories of the other wives. And that's a
Mm-hmm.
big responsibility for this production. Is like, okay, let's get grounded here. Talk about, what you bring in that character of
Mm-hmm.
Catherine Howard for the
Yeah, I think
musical.
I think the queen that you're thinking of to tie everything together, at least from my experience, is Catherine Parr, who's the last one. I'm
Oh,
the
okay. I'm
fifth wife.
sorry.
No, that's totally fine. My story is actually a really dark one, and Catherine Howard in real life was the youngest queen that King Henry was married to, and she was murdered at age 17. Like, she was very young. And my story that I get to tell is giving her the voice that she never had. She was a young girl when she met him, and she was perceived by the world as this young, naive girl who was promiscuous, which was not, that was not looked highly upon back then. When in reality, she was just a young girl who didn't really know who to be. She didn't know who she was yet. And so I like to give her that voice of someone being strong and intelligent, the girl she never got to become. That's who
Right.
I like to play her as.
Because to be killed off at 17, you haven't lived a life, and you're
Never.
going to marry this king,
Hmm.
a man who is much older and is set in his ways and has several things that he wants to see in a wife, and it's not happening for him. And that seemed to be the thread. There were things that he desired and
Yes.
wanted, and no one could fulfill his expectations
Right.
of.
But isn't that like what happens now? You know what I mean? It
That's
still
where I was
happens now.
going. He did. Yeah, she was so young. And you're right, naive. What did she know? She hadn't realized what she wanted to be in life. So
Exactly.
she
Exactly.
didn't
She just
have,
became
for
what she
him,
expected. What she was expected
exactly,
to.
exactly. And talk about, now, how long have you been in the national touring company of this
Yeah, so
production?
I joined the last little leg for a few months and then restarted this one. So about 4 months total, I would say.
Okay.
So I'm quite new. I've auditioned for 3 years, but I'm quite new actually being in the show.
And where are you all going next?
Boston. We'll be in Boston for a month, and
For
then we're
winter, you'll
heading.
you'll be in some
Yes.
snow probably, because
Yes.
there's supposed to be a storm sweeping through that area right now, in fact.
Stop it. I'm from Vegas. We don't even have snow there. So I don't know what to expect.
It'll
I'm
be fun.
excited.
And how much longer will you be on this tour of the
On this
of the
tour total,
musical?
we end June 2025.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Well, tell
crazy.
well tell our audience some of the other productions that you've been in outside of before you got on the tour with
Yeah.
Six.
Okay, so right before this, as I said, I'm from Las Vegas, and before this, I did a show called Bad Out of Hell. And if anyone's a Meatloaf fan or like rock music, that's basically what it was. It was called a jukebox musical where it was Meatloaf music told in story form, and it was a really rockin' show. We had motorcycles and fire, and
Wow.
it was like a rock and roll Romeo and Juliet type of situation. And that's what I did before. And then when I was 19, I was the first Moana to play on stage, like in the
Wow.
musical show. It wasn't called Moana, but it was the first time Moana had ever been put out there in a show.
Oh
So it
my
was really
goodness.
special. It was really
Oh my
fun.
goodness. And Moana 2 is about to come out.
I
The
know.
I know. Yes.
I'm so excited.
Well, for those who are just tuning in, we're getting ready to wrap up. We have been talking to Alizé Cruz. She is one of the ex-wives in Six the Musical at the National Theater right now, and we are really excited that she is here to be with us. There's some wonderful musicals that are coming up with the National. In fact, one of our favorites here in DC, the Hip Hop Christmas, is coming up in December. The musical about Neil Diamond is coming up next in early December. So, if you're looking for something to do coming up in December, you're shopping, but you need to take a break, or you've got family coming into town. There's a lot going on at Broadway at the National. Thank you, Alizé, and continued success. I know the audience, the crowds are coming to the
uh,
musical, and they are crazy happy
I'm
when they
happy.
when
The
they get in
audiences here
there.
are great. They're
Yes,
so
and
fun.
well, I mean, it's the right musical for this time. So thank you so much, and have a good rest of the run. Take care.